We're here with Lisa, the head of the Tricycle Gardens. Why did you start Tricycle Gardens Project, and how did you get a grant from VCU?
Well, the grant actually came from the Robbins Foundation, and part of it was this partnership with VCU. But about 5 or 6 years ago is when the whole Tricycle Garden started, and it was because um, I had been working as an artist full time, and I just got sick and tired of doing that, and I started to do some volunteer work, and that really changed my life. And then from there, I don't know where the seed got planted to do this, but I just thought it needed it needed to. It's something that wasn't happening in Richmond, and I knew it was happening in other cities. And the architect part of me thought that it was a necessary thing to start, something that should be started here in Richmond. So I got on my bicycle and rode around and found empty lots. And it turned out that the best one was owned by the Better Housing Coalition, and they were amenable to letting us try it out, and it worked.
All right. What is the process in getting a new garden site started? Because you have more than one.
Well, well, it really varies, but what we do ask for is that there be community participation from um, the neighborhood or whatever organization that there is. And so, for example, the one in Carver, there's been a really great group of people that have come together to see that happen. The one at the Neighborhood Resource Center, there really hasn't been a big group of people, but I know that the garden is going to be used by the Neighborhood Resource Center, so it won't go um, fallow, or it won't become, weedy or abandoned, because I know it will become an integral part of that community center. Um, and people have actually contacted us about helping, but what we do ask for is that there are more than one people, more than one person, willing to commit to seeing a garden get up and running and stay with it for a year or so.
All right. What's the biggest obstacle in getting a new garden started? Is it just the
Having people stick with it
yeah.
for longer than just a few meetings, and really commit to it, because it is a long, slow process. And so having other people follow through, I think, is the biggest problem, is really the hardest thing.
Let's see here. What is the value of student volunteers in your project?
Oh my God, you guys are young and strong, and you don't get tired easily, and you don't complain. Well, okay, some do. And it's like the labor, that fast labor that goes in there. It's like the punch that gets it done.
Let's see. What events in your life made you interested in organic community gardening?
Oh, that's a huge question.
Well,
I was brought up in a very environmentally conscious family. My father's a meteorologist, oceanographer, and my brother's an environmentalist. And when I was in college, I was very much into environmental issues, and that was in the 80s. And I went and I lived at Arcosanti, a commune in the middle of the desert, and which was based on architecture and ecology. And so I've done a lot of, between the architecture and the reading that I've done, and um, just from my own observations, I think I love cities. I love the energy of cities. And I think that there is a way that we can be more environmentally aware and live in cities at the same time. And a big part of it is creating local agriculture, because it just addresses so many issues.
that's definitely true. Let's see. Since we're in a religion and ethics class, do you have any religious perspective on gardening that you could talk about? Is there anything,
I don't know. I'll think about it. Religious. I mean, not being a religious person, having a practice that's more on based on Western thought. I mean more based on Eastern than Western, which is more of a way of life. And so for me, like with yoga and in Hinduism and Buddhism and Taoism, which is what the the belief system that I find myself more aligned with, it is then having a healthy lifestyle at every level is part of what the belief system is about, and that can include um, being a steward for the earth, whether it's having a few potted plants or a garden in your backyard or trying to make your community healthier.
What about ethical aspects of community gardening?
Well, yeah, I mean that to me it's the whole oil consumption thing, and also being aware of our impacts as consumers, and um, so I think there's ethical decisions that are made in every decision that you make about how you consume. And I mean, we can't be angels about it all because A, it would be really boring, and B, it would be really difficult to eat local and seasonal produce
Mm-hmm.
and food. In fact, you know, you could never have a mango again in your whole life unless you
Yeah,
went there.
that's true.
That would be
um,
awful.
do you see a difference in the communities where you start a garden usually?
Well, we only have one, really, because there's only one that's been there now. It's at 4 years. So the neighborhood is really in that where that garden is. There's been a lot of cleanup going on, and I don't know. I think we're not. It's an equal thing that's happening. But in other cities, there are lots of studies that have been done that show that property values go up, that crime goes down, that neighborhood involvement becomes better, that people start taking care of their property more, and that the community gardens creates a tighter group of people.
All right, I guess we'll end on. Do you have a personal garden, and if so, what do you grow?
Yes, I have a garden. Well, I'm a kind of a garden pig. I have a garden at home in my backyard, and then I have a plot at the community garden in Churchill. So every year it's different. This year I'm trying Mizuna, which is new for me. So lettuce and dinosaur kale. I'm trying to do more greens that I can rotate out.
Mhm.
So my goal right now is to try and do year-round, four-season gardening, so I can have a pretty good rotation. So I can have stuff growing all the time. And then I also grow a lot of flowers because I like having flowers in my house.
All right, well, I guess
That's
that'll
it.
do it. So, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your help.